You know, some leaders go down in history as saints, and others, well, they're remembered as tyrants. But today, we're diving into someone way more complicated than that. A man who killed his own brothers, purged his in-laws, and totally betrayed his father's trust. And yet somehow, he built a dynasty that lasted for 500 years. This is the story of Sejong Ibangwan, the third king of Joseon.
And that right there, that's the big question, isn't it? It's the central paradox of his entire life, and it's what we're going to unpack today. How on earth does so much bloodshed lead to one of Korea's most celebrated golden ages? To figure this out, we've got to rewind, all the way back to the very beginning, to a kingdom that was literally falling apart. So picture this. It's 1367. Ibangwan is born not into some peaceful, stable kingdom, but into the last chaotic days of the Goryeo Dynasty. We're talking widespread corruption, foreign invasions. It was a mess. And his father, a brilliant general named Yi Sung-gae, was one of the few people holding things together. This is the world that made him.
And let's be clear, Yi Bangwan wasn't just some muscle-bound warrior. The guy was brilliant. He passed the highest civil service exam when he was only 17 years old. To put that in perspective, that's like passing the bar exam as a teenager today. He had the brains and the brawn to change history, which made him a serious force to be reckoned with from a very, very young age.
And this is where he gets his first real taste of how power works. In 1388, his dad gets an order to launch what was basically a suicide mission into China. Instead, at a place called Weihua Island, he makes a huge call. He turns the army around, marches straight back to the capital, and stages a coup. That one move, the Weihua-do retreat, was pretty much the end of the Goryeo dynasty. Just like that, his family was in charge. Okay, so you've seized power. But founding a new dynasty isn't that simple. There was this one towering figure who refused to play along, Jang Mong-ju. He was this incredibly respected scholar, he'd even been one of Ibangwan's teachers, and he was fiercely loyal to the old kingdom. As long as he was around, the new dynasty was never really going to be secure.
So Yi Bangwan decides, all right, I'll handle this myself. He invites Jang Mong-ju to a banquet and shares this poem. It's basically him saying, look, why fight it? Just join us. We can all be prosperous together. It sounds nice, but it was really an offer with a threat hiding just beneath the surface.
But Jang Mong-ju, he wasn't having any of it. His character was rock solid. He replies with his own poem, which is basically a declaration of undying loyalty to Goryeo. He says he would rather die 100 times than betray his king. And with that poem, well, he pretty much sealed his own fate.
That was it. That very same night, as Jang Mong-ju was crossing Sanjuk Bridge to go home, Ibangwan's men were waiting for him with iron clubs. His assassination removed the last major roadblock. Ibangwan had just spilled the first blood for his family's new kingdom, and it definitely wouldn't be the last. So the Joseon Dynasty is officially born. You'd think Ibangwan's work is done, right? Well, not even close. The bloodiest fights were still ahead, and this time, the enemy was inside his own family. So after everything he did, getting his hands dirty to build this kingdom, his own father passes him over for succession. The new King Taejo names his youngest son, from a different mother, as the crown prince. This whole decision was pushed by Jung Do-jan, the guy who designed the dynasty's government, because he wanted a young, weak king he could control. For Yi Bangwan, this wasn't just a political snub. It was the ultimate betrayal. So what does he do? He doesn't just complain. In 1398, he takes matters into his own hands in the most brutal way imaginable. He launches a surprise attack, a private coup. His men storm the palace, and in one single bloody night, they kill Jung Do-jan and, unbelievably, his two young half-brothers, one of whom was the crown prince. He seized power by wiping out his rivals, even if they were his own flesh and blood. His father was just devastated, heartbroken. He basically quit, abdicating the throne. But the crown didn't go straight to our guy. Nope, it went to an older brother, kind of as a placeholder. But after yet another family conflict, this time putting down another ambitious brother, the path was finally clear. In 1400, Yi Bangwan took the throne as King Taejong. So he finally has the crown he literally killed for. What now? What kind of king is he going to be? Well, it turns out, Taejong ruled exactly the same way he rose to power, with cold, calculating, and absolute efficiency. He basically had this four-step blueprint for total control. First, he completely rewired the government so all the big ministries reported directly to him, cutting out any powerful advisors as middlemen. Second, he got rid of all private armies that powerful nobles had, absorbing them into one national army that only he commanded. Third, he created a national ID system called Hape to keep track of everyone and make sure taxes were collected. And fourth, he ruthlessly purged anyone and everyone who could possibly be a threat.
And if you want to see just how cold and logical this guy was, look no further than what he did to his wife's family. Her brothers had been his biggest supporters. They helped him win the strife of the princes. But Sejong knew that powerful in-laws could become a threat down the line. So, to secure the future of the throne, he had them executed. He destroyed the very men who had helped make him king.
Now, you might be thinking, wow, this guy is just a monster, hungry for power. But here's the twist. All of this bloody work, this meticulous, ruthless kingdom building, it wasn't just for him. It was all leading to his single greatest achievement, paving the way for his son, a man who would become Korea's most beloved king.
See, Sejong wasn't just about brute force. He was playing the long game. He had a few sons, but he saw something truly special in his third son, Cheongyang, a brilliant, compassionate, scholarly mind. So he broke with all tradition. He disinherited his older sons who were less suited to rule and named Cheongyang, the future King Sejong the Great, as his heir. And the way he hands over power, it's just masterful, in a terrifying way. In 1418, he steps down and makes Sejong the king. But, and this is key, Sejong holds on to all military power from retirement. And what's his final act? He executes his son's new father-in-law for the exact same reason he killed his own in-laws, to eliminate any last threat. When Sejong finally died in 1422, he left his son a kingdom that was perfectly stable, with all power flowing directly to the king.
And this right here, this is the whole story in a nutshell. You have Sejong, the brutal architect, who laid the foundation with steel and blood. He ruled through fear, and he tore out every single weed that could possibly threaten the throne. He made his hands bloody, so that his son, Sejong, could build upon that stable ground. And on that ground, Sejong ruled with wisdom, creating a golden age of science, culture, and even the Korean alphabet.
So that brings us right back to where we started. King Sejong's amazing, celebrated reign was only possible because of his father's ruthless, bloody consolidation of power. One king's hands are clean because the others were stained with the blood of his own family. It's a deeply disturbing legacy, and it forces us to ask a really tough question. Is it possible for a nation's greatest peace to be born from its leader's greatest violence?